talking about dakinis, we have to talk about the wisdom dakinis. They represent five Buddha families with their enlightened activity, helping us to transform our mental poisons, our kleshas, into five wisdoms. And it's good to know that those five kleshas, and those are our mental activities, mental processes, disturbing emotions that accompany us every day. Let's face it. And often we like to think we are already further in our spiritual path and that we are not so much subjected to their power. Yet that's when dakinis come to picture, when we are able to draw upon the level of humility to be able to notice that I might not know something, I might not see something, and I would kindly request your guidance. Because just like we are driving a car, we can have our front mirror, we can have our side mirror, back mirror, and still have a blind spots. And the same thing in our life when we are, um, even with the full openness and motivation to develop with full awareness for the benefit of all, we can still have blind spots. And when we are opening up to dakinis and their kind guidance, then we can be helped in real time to attend those processes and be able to transform our mental poisons into wisdoms. Because often we can even assess some processes that we've been through in hindsight. It's easier to do that, and in real time it's much more difficult to notice, oh, I'm experiencing right now pride, jealousy. I have this, I'm being fueled by anger because I feel very righteous about that, but maybe I'm right, so it's okay. So there are many fine levels of the processes of kleshas that we go through every day, and this is when dakinis can come with their guidance and help us to navigate that transformation process from kleshas into wisdoms. So, what are these five wisdoms and five kleshas? So, five kleshas are the anger, ignorance, pride, attachment, jealousy, and we transform them into the wisdom of Dharmadhatu, mirror-like wisdom, equanimity, wisdom of discrimination, or analytical wisdom, and all-accomplishing wisdom. And there are many presentations of that processes and based of different transmission lineages. So in here, I'm giving a heads up. I'm going to be presenting it from the perspective of Chakra Samvara Tantra, which has the reverse position of anger and ignorance, just to anticipate any questions. So for the anger or aversion, dvesha, we transform it into the wisdom of Dharma Dhatu, or space-like wisdom. It is the anger presents the special type of potential of when experienced. There is a lot of um, push behind the energy of anger, that if it is being separated from that ego-driven righteous feeling, it also has that very deep and vast awareness potential behind it. So that's where we can transform it into the wisdom of Dharma Dhatu, that space-like wisdom. if we recognize that emptiness of that ego-driven anger, and we are able to transform it based on the emptiness of self in the argument, in that situation that we are experiencing, and we transform it into that open awareness of that potential of energy that is so present often that we almost feel this vibration in our body based off that in that raw form, anger, of course, can destroy, can create divisions, can hurt. And if it is being devoided of that um, dualistic, ego-driven sense of righteousness, it can be transformed into also that vitality of the body and experience that vastness and um, very conscious presence, very spontaneous, that can serve us in our compassionate activity. So this is where the potential lies in transforming anger into wisdom of Dharma Dhatu. And, and there are many techniques how to do it. And of course, we can learn techniques, and there is still that element of being open to guidance of dakinis, because they can often show us in real time when we are falling in a little bit into that ego-driven potential of anger versus that very spacious, spontaneous, compassionate base that wisdom of Dharma Dhatu can provide. Then we have ignorance or delusion, avidya, in Tibetan, marikpa. Meaning it's a lack of understanding, or it's misunderstanding of reality, and that we see as dualistic. We see as that happens to me, me versus you, me versus the world. And if we see everything as solid as we perceive it based on that duality, that creates that root of ignorance. Because if we choose to interact with the world based on the understanding that everything is real and permanent, we are in trouble. We're going to create more karma, we're going to create more problem for ourselves and everyone in our world. Yet, the moment we start to understand the impermanence basis of everything that we interact with every day, and its interdependence with all the causes and circumstances that bring about that reality, we cease to be in that power of ignorance, and we start to transform it into this reflective understanding that everything is interdependent and it will disappear at some point. I don't need to fight for everything as it is, as if it is real, like I see it. Yes, of course, it's still we rely on karma. We need to watch out for our actions, but everything reflects what I experience inside. So it is in that way that reflective quality of water. And that's why it is mirror-like wisdom, presenting us what we are bringing to that context, to that scenario, to that situation, based of our internal world. And it's not solid as we see it, as our reactivity suggests. So in that way, we can transform the ignorance into mirror-like wisdom. And again, there are many subtle processes when we can start noticing it happening within us, then we can rely again on Dakini's insight and guidance. The third process, it is pride or arrogance, asmita, mana, transforming into wisdom, equanimity. So in here, again, that pride is being fueled by our arrogant self-importance that's often stands on diminished self-worth that we try to compensate with um, overactive ego to confirm our worth. And pride can be built on that. And most human beings, most sentient beings, we have that built-in program of trying to be as happy as possible, sometimes at the expense of other beings. And this is where our conscious process, conscious reflection, um, it serves us very well. And if we want to work on these tendencies, because then we can become aware of those and not fully go all the way with our instincts. Because how we can transform it is by understanding that all beings have the same inherent Buddha nature. So they are equally valuable. So when we become aware of that and we recall that in a moment of wanting to achieve something for our own benefit, we can experience that profound sense of richness that we no longer need to grasp for that external validation, or no longer need to have it at the expense of somebody else, or we don't see other people's needs in the whole equation, just ours. So that's the potential of transformation into wisdom of equanimity. Then is attachment or desire, raga, that can be transmuted into discernment wisdom. We call it discriminating wisdom, analytical and discerning. And how that happens is when we experience the potential of either attachment, grasping towards something, desire to actually have something or experience something or control something or keep it next to our side, then we know we are more really in power of that dualistic perception of that attachment, because it is, again, I want to have it, I need to have it. And the wisdom that can help us to quench that compulsion is that wisdom that sees in precision the context of that situation, our need, all the qualities of that situation with clarity, adding a layer of compassionate warmth, understanding, which immediately decreases that selfish, blind obsession of having it. So it ceases to be a like tunnel vision. I need to have it, it's mine. And it becomes just an element of unfolding reality that we have more a say how we're going to attend that urgency of having it. So we are transforming our relationship to this compulsive attachment. And in here also again, being attuned to the dakinis that can whisper to us some words of guidance in real time can really save us some detours. And the last process is jealousy or envy, ira, transformed into all-encompassing wisdom. And so jealousy can be really very isolating mental process. because we're constantly comparing ourselves to somebody in this competitive mode. Am I good enough? Am I better than? Am I less than? It's for starters exhausting, and it can also isolate from real connection with people and the connection with the wider reality, again making very dualistic me self versus others. And what can help us to transform it is that if we began to see that it's much worth to put that energy of this mental process behind doing something for others, rather than satisfying that ego sense of self, and because that creates this sense of rejoicing in the joy of others, because then we are contributing to that larger pool of joy around us versus just confirming our self-identity or our self-worth. And that removes that need for comparison, because if you're rejoicing in the joy of others, you already experience the satisfaction and joy of that of the moment of that process. So I don't need to scoop that only for myself. I'm already part of that experience. So these are the five processes of transforming kleshas or mental poisons into five wisdoms that we stand in front as a potential every day, because we have every day more vivid and more subtle opportunities to experience either that shadow side of the this kleshas, or more transformed versions of it, more open, more less dualistic, more open to experience it with other beings and the world around. And in here, again, we can really rely on Dakini's guidance if we are humble enough, because they will never impose themselves. We need to really, like we say in Tantra, to split open and admit I might not handle it as well as I would wish to, but please guide me, help me to see it, to transform it more into real time, not after the fact when either relationships are broken or damage is done. But it's also good to know that the process of transformation, it takes to complete it. It really takes a lot of self-awareness and admitting, experiencing that processes, because we often might wish to think that we are already far ahead, and we might not knowingly suppress some of those processes, not willing to admit that we don't have solutions. So the transformation only happens when we admit uh, we we need to transform it, and not by suppressing it. With collaboration with the Dakinis, it's much easier. For that, we need some of the openness and humility. And the baseline for all of the transformation is real recognizing the nature of kleshas and not falling into that dualistic vision of them, but allowing it to be transformed based on understanding the interdependence factor of each of them in every moment of our life.